Hi everybody and welcome to Mentour, yet another video podcast. I hope you're all doing great as always. So, I am out in the playground playing with my youngest son and I thought, why not just make a podcast while I'm doing that and really use the time. So, I had quite a lot of questions lately about the pension age and retirement age and pension schemes within the airline industry. So I thought that's what I'm going to be talking about today. If we start with the retirement age. Now, back in the good old days, as I'm going to refer to them from now on, the mandatory retirement age for pilots were 60 years. And some airlines actually had a lower retirement age than that. But I can't remember exactly when it was now, but it was quite a while ago. They changed the retirement age in Europe to from 60 to 65, and America followed suit. So in the US it's also 65 now, and basically all over the world the mandatory retirement age is now 65 for airline pilots. In Japan they're actually thinking about extending it from 65 to 67 because they have a huge problem with pilot shortage over there. So what I mean by mandatory retirement age, by the way, it's worth mentioning, is that it's not legal to continue to fly in commercial operations after 65. Now in other occupations you might be able to continue after 65 if you have if the employer wants you to and so on, but that's not the case in the airline industry. At 65, that's it, then you have to retire. You can probably still proceed with flying PPL as flying private and so on, but you cannot continue to fly in commercial operations. Right, that's the first part. The second part is pension schemes. So back in the good old days, most pilots were employed by flag carriers, by legacy airlines, and they used to have really sweet pension deals. So they were paid a bucket load of money, first of all, every month, and also on top of that, the flag carriers had really good pension schemes. And what I mean by really good is that most of them could continue to pick out or use their full salary for many years after they retired, sometimes until they died. So you would have your captain's salary, and when you retired you continue to get your captain's salary until you dropped off the face of the earth. Now, as you could imagine, that posed quite a bit of an expense for the airlines. In fact, some of the old legacy carriers, including Scandinavian airline systems, almost went bankrupt because of this, right? Because it spirals out of control. It means that you not only do you have the expenses for the employees that you have employed, but you also have expenses for the employees that have stopped working for you, stopped producing. So what happened mainly in the beginning of the 2000s was that the low-cost carriers in Europe and in the States, they basically abolished this completely. So the fixed pension was changed into something called, well, it was basically changed into a system where instead of the airlines guaranteeing a specific pension, they were paying in a specific sum into the pension account instead. Which was then being handled by a financial firm of some sort to save it up, just like a normal savings account. And then when the pilots retired, they would get that money being paid out for whatever it had managed to accrue over the years. But when the money stopped, it stopped, basically. So as you can see, there's a huge difference there between having a fixed amount of money getting into your account every month until you die, until having a pile of money that you have to dish out some parts of for as long as you live. Okay, that was one of the changes. The other huge change that came in was the introduction of so-called contract schemes, where pilots basically, instead of being hired directly by the airline, they were now hired, but they had to create their own companies, and those companies were then hired by the airline. So the airline didn't have to pay social fees, pension money or anything into these companies. They just paid out a fixed amount every month depending on how much these pilots flew, and the pilots themselves had to pay pension into their accounts. That has formed something that we haven't seen in the industry before. And the thing is that since this happened in the beginning of 2000, very few of those pilots that had those kind of contracts has actually retired. So there is a big group of pilots who has been contractors their entire career, and they will, when they retire, be the first ones on these kind of schemes. Now for them, if you are one of them, or if you are becoming one of them, because this is getting quite normal in the industry now, you are going to have to be very smart in how you save for your pension. And I'm going to tell you this now, and this is very, very important, guys, if you're getting into this line of business. You are going to have to start saving for your pension at a very early age, okay? It might not be the funniest thing to put your money into, but it is crucial that you do so, because the amount of money that you will need in order to retire with a decent salary is quite a lot, okay? I have myself, even though I am fully employed, I have been saving off private money as well towards my pension. I have a pension scheme with my employer as well, but I am saving actively. And what I'm thinking of doing, or what I'm going to do, is as I grow older, I'm going to put a bigger and bigger part of my salary in towards my pension. Now, when you're really young, maybe this is not the most important thing. As in your 20s and up to your 30s, you will probably have other things that are really important to put your money in. For example, your family life, buying a house, buying a car, building up a good family life. But when that is done, I would suggest that you start putting more and more money in towards your pension. Now, you will never by yourself be able to save up to a pension that is even close to the amount of money that you're getting as your salary. So the next thing that you have to think of is you have to plan your life so that when you retire, be at 65, you don't have a lot of outgoings. So what can you do? For example, I have bought a house. I'm planning to sell that house at some point and build my own house. Okay, I am planning to build a very nice but small and efficient house, hopefully a passive house that doesn't require a lot of electrical bills. I also want to have a nice garden. I want to be able to produce some of the things I'm going to eat myself, and I want to make sure that whatever mortgage that I take on that house, I have set so that it's fully paid off the day I retire. That means that when I retire, I won't need a huge salary of the type, a big salary of the type that you have as an airline captain. I maybe can half that and still live nicely with me and my wife and pay for everything we need, pay for gifts to these little guys and to hopefully my grandchildren, and the things that you want in order to put a little bit of gold shine around your elderly years. That's my plan anyway, to make sure that I have saved off a lot of money. What are you laughing about, eh? What are you laughing about? I have saved off a lot of money so that I have something to fall back on. And 2, I have made sure that my outgoings are not big. So I don't want to, buy a huge mansion now and not being able to pay for it and having to sell it off when I'm 65, and I really want to just spend time with my children and grandchildren. When it comes to setting up pension schemes, there are many of them. Just contact whatever insurance company that you're dealing with or financial firm, they will be able to do it. And another thing which I want to tell you guys now here at the end of the podcast is that if you are like me, working all over the world and all over Europe, I have had contracts in the UK, in Ireland, in Sweden, and now it's paying social benefits here in Spain. It means that most of these countries, they have individual systems of gathering up points towards state pension. Now, it's really important that you guys, before you retire, contact a law firm or a company that is that knows about this, and collect all of those social points into one big pot, because it is doable. So you can contact UK, Ireland, Sweden, and if you want to retire in Spain, then all of the pension points that you have gathered up all over Europe and hopefully all over the world will be able to be put into one pot into where you are planning to retire. So this is doable, and you have to do this, but you are going to have to do it yourself. No one is going to do it for you. And that is basically my big point as well. The way that I'm planning my pension is that I am not counting on getting any pension from anyone. All the money that I want to use when I retire, I am planning to have myself. And then if it turns out that I actually get state pension or actually get some proper pension from somewhere, then that will be a nice bonus. But at least that's how I am planning my own retirement. And I suggest you guys probably do the same, because it's better to be safe than sorry. And the way the financial outlook is for the world, and the way that the amount of people is increasing worldwide, it's a fair guess that it's probably within 30 years or so that we're talking about, it's going to be a bit leaner in the pension accounts. Okay, so guys, I hope that answers some of the questions that you have. I hope that was what you wondered about when it came to pilot pension schemes. This goes for any pilot or any pension schemes really. Now I am going to continue to play with my boys, and I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I'll see you next time. Ah.